Hey guys, welcome back. If your mango tree looks like this after a frost, just like my Venus mango here, some brown crispy leaves, please do not do nothing yet, because what you do in the next couple weeks is going to decide if your tree recovers or not. So let's get right into it. So let's talk about why do the leaves turn brown. So what happens is when we get a frost event, the frost sits on top of these leaves, and if we look closely, the real dark spots tend to be right at the middle. It gets real dark because those are the areas on the leaves that are most impacted, because if we look at the leaves, they're like a V shape, so that's where the moisture sits and then freezes, and then it's so cold that it damages the cells in the leaves. So what's going to happen? So first you'll get the freeze, and then over time your leaves will start to turn brown. And not all the time the leaves will turn completely brown. That's not something that happens all the time, because I actually still have mango trees that have leaves on the trees from the previous frost that have not turned completely brown and have not fell off. But this is just a minor damage here because we still see some leaves. So the next day you'll see some light browning, and then it starts to darken up after a few days. Within a week you should see the full extent of the damage. So as of right now, these leaves are pretty much going to stay like this. They really won't get worse than this because it has already been a few days after the frost. But if the leaves after a few days is completely brown, then those leaves are completely dead and they will eventually fall off the tree. So now that we know what the frost does, we're going to look at this Pickering mango. You can see the damage here, and look at the flowers, how wilted they are. So now we're going to go into what not to do. So right now I'm not going to start making any cuts. I'm not going to cut these peduncles. I'm not going to cut these branches or remove any leaves. I'm not going to fertilize my tree. Right now the tree does not have the strength to absorb the fertilizer, so we're not going to do that. And we're not going to overly water the tree. Now, the weatherman is calling for another week in the 30s here in Zone 9B, West Florida. So what I am going to do is I am going to put some water down around here, water the tree just a little bit, only because of the reason we are getting back in the 30s, and I do use water as a way of protecting my trees. I want this entire area to be wet. That way my tree stays slightly a little hydrated during those cold temperatures. I'm not going to just leave the water hose there like I would normally do if I wanted my tree to get water. I'm not going to leave the water hose and overly water it, because again, the tree does not have the strength to absorb all that water. So we're not going to do that. If we weren't going in the 30s, I probably would not even water. I probably wouldn't put water anywhere near this tree at this moment. I would let Mother Nature take its course. If we get rain, we get rain, but I won't intervene unless we're getting back down into the 30s like we are tomorrow actually. So no water, no fertilizer, and we're not going to make any cuts. Right now we just need our tree to recover, and we're going to wait a couple weeks to see the full extent of the damage before we do anything. So let's move on. Now that we know what not to do, we're going to take a look at Carrie Mango, and she's going to help us out on this one. We'll talk about what to do next. And from a distance, Carrie doesn't look too bad. Until we start getting close, we'll start to see some damage. And I want to tell you something here. You know what saved these leaves on the Carrie were the flowers. This tree was covered, as you can see, it's still covered with flowers, but unfortunately they're all dried up now. The flowers protected this tree from getting severely damaged on the inside of the canopy. The green leaves, the flowers actually protected this tree. If we go close, look at this. we'll start to see some frost damage. So what are we going to do? Right now we're going to be extremely patient, guys. We're not going to do anything right now. We're going to make sure that the threat of cold has passed, and if it has not passed, like me, tomorrow I'll be back in the 30s, so I have to protect the trees again. In my case here, I'm not going to do anything to carry. It is what it is. It's just too big for me to cover, but I will add a little bit of water here. I'm going to add water on all my trees, just enough to keep them hydrated and keep the ground wet. That's it. Not looking to give my tree a bunch of water, no. So I'm getting cold again. I have to worry about protecting my trees again. If the threat of cold has already passed, we want to wait to see the full extent of the damage. Wait a couple weeks, and then your tree is going to show you where the damage is at. Once we find out where all the damage is at, we're going to go to our branch and we're going to look for any signs of budding, swelling. We may see some green buds start to pop out. We may not. If your leaves are green like this after a couple weeks, that's letting you know that your branch is still alive. If your leaves have any sort of browning or they're completely brown, you want to do the scratch test. So what you're going to do is come here, and with your nail you're going to scratch this area here, and depending on the color, that's going to let you know if it's green, your tree, that branch is still alive. If it's brown, that branch is dead. And once we figure out that part, we're still not going to do anything just yet, guys. We're going to be extremely patient. We're going to wait for our tree to show us signs that it is alive and it's pushing out new growth. So next I'm going to talk about when is it appropriate to start making your cuts, and for that we're going to look at this ice cream mango, because this tree also had frost damage a couple years ago, and I want to show you something that ties in perfectly with this, and it'll help you move forward on your next step. So what we're going to do is wait until your new flush. So if your tree was damaged, it's going to bud out and it's going to grow new leaves. We need to make sure those leaves are completely flushed out. So we've already identified by doing the scratch test, if it's brown, that branch is dead. If it's green, it's alive. We'll wait for it to bud out and wait for the leaves to come completely out. If we cut prematurely, it's going to slow your tree down. You don't want to do that. You don't want to have new growth and cut at the same time. Please wait. It is okay to wait, and that's why I'm going to show you here. These are dead branches. This was damaged from the cold. I never even took them off. It's okay to leave them on. You don't have to do, it's okay too to cut them, but let's wait until everything is completely flushed out. If we move too fast, we're going to damage the tree or slow it down. It is okay. Leave the dead wood on there. Wait until your tree is completely healthy and starts to flush out before you start making those serious cuts. Let's wait. All right, got that out the way. Let's move on. So if you're wondering how long it's going to take for your mango trees to start producing fruit again, I made a video about that, and I'll see if I can put it down in the description or link this video somehow to that, because that's very good information as well. But guys, let's be very patient here. Let Mother Nature handle this situation. I know it sucks. We want to move so fast and start making our cuts, but now is not the time. If you know someone who has some damaged mango trees, please share this video with them. Maybe this video just helps slow things down for you, because I know I've done it. I've had trees severely damaged, and I've made cuts when I weren't supposed to make it because I was impatient. Right now is not the time to try to start getting some mangoes from your trees. They need to recover. So let me know in the comments if you have any questions, and I wish everyone a speedy recovery and a great mango season to come. I'll see you guys on the next one.